So we're going to the next item on our program, and that's a workshop. We'll be talking about building CV and acing interviews like a pro. You know, it's one thing to have the skills, it's one thing to have the knowledge. It's a very important thing to know how to prepare for an interview, what you need, your CVs and everything to get everything in the right places. Because if you do not have that tool, if you do not have that particular skill, you just get up being frustrated, and we wouldn't want that. So that's why we are having that in this career session. And so, to handle this session would be Titi Akerele. Before I invite her, something very brief. So Titi is a senior global HR practitioner with an interest and expertise in people management and development, organizational development, and fusing the two to build a healthy and world-class company. So with a clap ovation, help me welcome Titi Akerele.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. I think it's safe to say good afternoon now. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Titilope Akerele, and I am an HR professional. First of all, I'm overwhelmed by this crowd because you guys are amazing to be here. So give yourselves a round of applause. You could be doing anything else on a Friday, but you're here. So thank you for being here. I also feel like, well, I'm clearly on the spot at this point. So even though I'm the HR professional that usually does the interviewing and all that, it's like at this point now, you guys are now the panel interviewing me to see if I'm going to come correct. I am not a cybersecurity professional, clearly, but sometimes I'm the first point of contact before you come into the organization. So that time where you submit a CV, hoping that it will get to the head or the lead cybersecurity person that understands your language, I come in first before I know if I should pass it on to him. So this is why I'm here. So I'm here to talk about building an alluring CV and acing interviews like a pro. I do want to add, though, that the good thing is some of the things I'm going to say, I'm going to refer to what some of my panelists have already said. So this is beautiful. You now see how the transition is, and you know that they were not boboing you. Yeah? Okay. Great. So I would like us to start with a quick icebreaker. I see some people are wearing shades. I don't know if they are sleeping. Even though I saw some. So if you don't mind, if I can get you guys to stand up. Please, if I can get you to stand up. Because we're going to assume that you have gone for an interview like this. Because when you apply for a job, one thing you need to remember is that you are not the only person applying for that job. Right? So in case you think my package is correct, they will hire me. It's me. You need to remember that you do have competition. If I can get my slides. Great. So we're going to go through this. I want you to sit down. Sit down if you have been unemployed for more than 6 months. If you have been honest, I mean, you didn't want to stand up, so I'm doing you a favor. Please. Sit down. Sorry, one house. So you remember you came for an interview, yeah? So the rest of you standing up, you are seeing that some people have left. You guys are still here. Great. Could you please sit down? If you have things written on your CV that you don't really know how to do or you don't have the skills for, you just wrote it there. I can build a house. You don't even know what a house looks like. Please sit down. Please sit down if you do not have a LinkedIn profile. If you don't have a LinkedIn profile in 2024 and you are a tech bro or sis, please sit down. Please sit down if you find yourself not remembering the job vacancy you applied for. When someone calls you and say, hey, I'm calling from so company, and you say, what position did I apply for again? Sorry, I don't remember. I applied to many places. And then, could you sit down if you are not confident having interviews and don't really know how to sell yourself? Honest truth. Right? Awesome. If you guys have an idea of how many people are here, and then you look around and see the people still standing, this is how we filter through CVs, right? So don't be angry. Sometimes you send CV, you don't get response. We get 100,000 of applications, and we have to go through looking for the best person, which means that if you want to be the best person, you have to be serious about what you want to do. Thank you. Please, everybody have a seat. And that leads me to my own advice. Since they were giving advice, now I want to give my own advice, but that's just one thing. And what I want to say is, never be in a hurry to send over your CV in response to a vacancy announcement. You get why? Remember that your CV is your opportunity to make that lasting first impression. Why am I saying this? I actually had an interview this morning, speaking with a candidate. Her last employment says it ended in November 2023. I'm like, so what have you been doing since then? She said she's still working. I'm like, how are you still working? Your CV says that you ended last year. She said, no, she's still in employment. I'm like, but you sent this to me. I'm responding based on what I see. I don't know you from anywhere. She now says, okay, let her think about it. Oh, okay, she knows the CV she sent to me. That is the one that she uses to apply for social media jobs. I said, okay. I said, it's okay. You have already said sorry before, but you want to now defend why you sent that one. I said, but I'm going to read. Unlike when you are sitting in front of an interview, at this point it's on the spot. They are just giving it to you, and you are just shaking. But just before, when you see that vacancy, you have every opportunity to look at your CV one more time. Did I dot my I's? Did I cross my T's? If I send this in, would it increase my chances? The right thing. And because of that, some of us even have ATS. So an ATS is an applicant tracking system. And it makes it easier for the recruiting team to go through lots of CVs because we're only human. And sometimes we cannot respond to everybody. So if it goes through that kind of machine, you guys are tech people. And the machine has been told to detect that if you see this error, bounce it off. That's how you've been bounced off. It's not personal. You guys are the ones who made the machine. That's the programming you gave it. Yeah? Okay. So let's move along. Thank you. I thought the screen would be bigger, so you might not really see this. But this is okay. So because we're talking about CVs, this is just showing you what the elements of a CV looks like. Also, so that you people don't bounce me off, that's not actually how it's supposed to look with the small letters and the big letters. I think it's the application they're using to open it. All right, so I'm using the structure of my CV as a sample, right? Of course, you have the main information at the top, your name, where you stay, phone number, things like that. Then right after that is where you have your professional summary, or career summary, or personal statement, right? This now goes back to what the panelists said, knowing your why. Knowing your why. So sometimes when they ask, what do you see yourself doing in the next 2 to 5 years? Like, that question. It's you. What do you see yourself doing? So what is your why? Why are you here? Why are you applying for this job? Why are you interested in this role? That's what you are feeling in that your personal statement. And it doesn't have to be too long. Make it short and simple and sweet. That once they see it like this, they want to bring you in to ask you more. Your CV is just supposed to be an entrance into the door. That's all it's supposed to do. It's not supposed to tell them everything about you. Just give them, little bits. Let them want more. But that part is where your why sits. After that, then you now talk about the skills that you possess. Again, you don't have to follow this structure, but this is just a well-organized structure, starting with this is who I am, summary. Then this is what I can do. These are the skills that I've acquired, right? So around there, you probably have your, cloud security, network security, all those big grammar that you guys have, as well as some of the soft skills as well. Then after that, you now want to talk about your work experience. Some of you may not have worked in a structured environment before, but every experience matters. I asked the question about those of you that have been unemployed for 6 months. Even if I had time, I don't mind bringing some people to ask, why have you been unemployed for 6 months? Because there are jobs out there. There are actually jobs. Maybe not the one you want right now, but there are jobs. But remember, soft skills are equally as important as technical skills. So even if it is to get something for the time being that you can use to build on your soft skills, build on communication, build on critical thinking, do all those things. So that when you go for an interview, I'm an aspiring cybersecurity professional, but this is what I can do. Where else would you test it before you get that big job? Test it in the small, small ones now. Give them a shot, test it there, volunteer. It sounds painful because the economy is tough, but you're building yourself, you are betting on yourself by doing all those small roles that you were normally not interested in just to build for the next place. So the next part there, after work experience, then you can end with your qualifications. If you want to bring your qualifications to the top, that's fine, but you're applying for a job. So you don't want them to also focus on your school, because if I ask now, how many people, based on what you graduated with, you are practicing it? There's that question. So if you're applying for a cybersecurity role and you know that you studied English, linguistics, or Yoruba, there's no need to highlight it at the top, right? Because it's not relevant to what you're doing right now. So you can put it at the bottom to let them know you're educated, you did go to school. That's not what I want you to focus on. I want you to focus on why I'm doing this, the skills that I have, and what I have done so far. Great. So talking about your career summary, I think I've already talked about that, so I won't talk too much about it. You know, you want to highlight what your interests are. You want to make it short and simple, maybe about 3-4 lines. So when you see that you are rambling too long or you're going to a 5th line, try and see how you can cut it short because it's getting too long. You want to showcase your personality too. Doesn't mean you should throw broken English in there, right? You still want to keep it professional, right? And then, of course, you want to tailor it to the job because you are all interested in security. It's easy to have that one CV that you have tailored for a security role than you're interested in security and then social media and then customer service, and then you have to have multiple CVs. But you want it to be tailored. You know, I'm an aspiring cybersecurity professional with so number of years looking for. All right. So now talking about the skills. We talked about hard skills, soft skills, and it's important to have industry knowledge. I once had an interview. I'll make it personal now, because it's not only you people that sometimes fall people's hand. Even us too. Everybody's human. I once had an interview, and everything was going well until they asked me about a certain term that we use in our industry. I was not familiar with the term being called that. It was an acronym. I wasn't familiar. I knew what it was in full, but because they gave me that acronym, I was not ready. And after I left, I checked, I was like, I know this thing now. But that's because I didn't do my homework very well. I didn't. I was there, and I thought I already had all the information that I needed to have. But that's how they put me on the spot. In your case, you are still learning, you are still growing. So this is the time where you should do a lot of research. Yes, you went to school, but see, life is a continuous learning ground. Nobody knows it all. Even the greatest people are still learning. You hear that they are reading so and so books. They're not reading it just because they feel like reading it. They are learning something from it. Because even the world we're in is evolving each and every day. So never see it that, you know what, because I just graduated and I just spent 4 or 5 or 6 years and I just did one qualification here, it's time to take a break. Even when you start working on the job, you are still learning, okay? So it's important that you have industry knowledge. The industry you're going into, what is it that happens there? How does it happen? What are those things I can discuss with them about? Also, so that during the interview, if they ask you questions like me using the Flutterwave for example, if there's anybody here that has not heard about it, you are not up to date. If you need to subscribe to one security channel or one maybe tech cabal and the likes, it's important that you know what's going on in your industry so that you can also have those engaging conversations in an interview. Who doesn't want to hear someone really giving it to them, letting them know, I know what's going on and this is how I can solve your problem. When you are going for an interview, you are going for you. But then when you are talking to the likes of me, you are not telling me all about you. You are telling me how you can solve my problem. Because that's the only reason why I want to hire you. I have a problem, I need someone to solve it. So if you're talking selfishly about me, I want to do this, and I want this, and I want this salary, and I want this, I don't want you. Because you will come in and you'll probably faff, and then wait for a month end to collect pay. Yeah? Okay, please can we go on to the next slide? So we've moved from skills, now we're talking about work experience. And my slide was really fine. I'm so sad. Hmm. Okay, all right, so work experience. I see that some people still do this. I don't know if they're in this room, but it's important that when you're arranging your work experience, you start with the most recent, right? So the one at the top is the one that you just finished doing, right? The one after that is the one you did previously, and so on and so forth. Don't give us a hard time by putting the first job you ever did when you're in primary school at the top, and then the one after that is after that, and then we have to scroll all the way to the end to see what you're currently doing or what you did last, right? So this is the correct arrangement of your work experience. And then you want to quantify your achievements. So if you heard that, oh, you guys were able to save 10 billion in a so situation, don't just say save the company some money, right? You want to put those numbers, right? Because it also shows that you were really into that work. You paid attention to every detail as you should have. Even if it is percentages, even if it is just random values, work with a team of 7 people, work with a team of 20. That one itself is an achievement because it means that you can communicate with diverse people. Versus I work with a team of 1. Nothing wrong with 1, oh, but my point is, even as big or as large a team that is, it tells me something. It explains something. So rather than just work with a team, if it was a big team, you want to say how big it was because it tells me something about the kind of person you are and the environment that you were in. And then, of course, you want to align it with the job. Now, how can you align it with the job? But don't lie, oh. Remember, we talked about the people that have things on their CV that they don't have experience with. Don't lie. Because this is where you also need to take your time to develop those skills. So going to align with the job. How do you align it with the job? In your spare time, you need to check out what cybersecurity vacancies or vacancies based on your interest. The panelists earlier mentioned that there are different facets to cybersecurity. There's, maybe the one that has to do with digital marketing and things like that, right? So you find the one that you are interested in and you look at it. You guys are in the day and age of ChatGPT. There is no information you do not have access to. There is none. You have access to everything. So if you don't know what those job descriptions look like and you don't know where to find them, you go to ChatGPT and say, hey, I want to see a job description for a security engineer with 3 years of experience interested in the fintech, organization or financial services or technology, whatever. ChatGPT is going to break that down for you. You read those details and see, what don't I know here, right? So the ones you don't know is the ones that you want to go and see how you can start brushing up your skills on. And then the ones you know, you now see the way they coined it, and you knew that your own coining won't have looked that slick. So now you see, okay, this is how they say that they do it. And now you can tailor what you have done to align with the job that you're applying for. Does that make sense? Do I have any questions so far? No? Cool. All right. So now we're talking about your education and qualification. So in case you studied French, it's okay. You can still, get a job in cybersecurity. But this is where, you want to upskill yourself, right? You want to get the necessary licenses and qualifications that make you a suitable, applicant or candidate for whatever role you're applying for. Some vacancies you will see, they are not particularly interested in the certificates that you have, but they want to know that you can do this job. Maybe some are internship roles. They just want to see that you have the passion for it. While there are the ones that want to see that you have the experience in ISO, blah, blah. They want to see those things. So this is where you want to go ahead and upskill yourself. And once you've done that, you want to attach that to your CV. There are also a lot of free sites that give you access to these kinds of learnings. There's the Udemy, the Coursera. I think you guys probably have your other stuff. I don't know if you've, Stack Overflow, all those things. I'm not a technical person. I just do what they tell me to do. But even as I do what they tell me to do, they also tell me what to look out for, right? So if they tell me, okay, we want the person to be certified in blah, 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 that's what I'm looking for. And you already know what those certifications are. So you need to work towards getting that and adding it to your CV so that your Yoruba will not matter, right? Your Yoruba degree, nobody's looking at that, but they see that, okay, at this point, you have transitioned, and now this is the path that you're growing towards. Okay, so going back to the beginning of our conversation, proofread. proofread before you finally say, yes, I am sending it forth. It's important, one, to maintain consistency. If you know that you want to use Times New Roman, then you continue to use Times New Roman. You don't use Times New Roman at the top and Arial in the middle and then Tahoma at the bottom, right? It also shows that you lack attention to detail. So yeah, you might have the qualifications, but then when there is a breach here, you probably will not see it because you don't pay attention to details. That's what it means to me, right? So maintain consistency. If your headings are, font size 15, let them be font size 15. If the body of your text is 10, let it be 10. Not that the first line will be 10, the second line is 12, the next one is 13, and you go back to 10. It just shows that, even organizational skills, you don't have it. That's what it translates to. We can tell so much by looking at the person's CV. Even if you graduated the coolest person in your class, from that CV, you can already tell that this one will come like this and they will steal all the money in our account. All right. You want to optimize for readability. And I think this is where maybe I'm messing up because I didn't want to send it in PDF. Because with PDF, you will see it exactly the way I saved it. But I sent it in PowerPoint because I figured that if I get to project it, will look exactly the way I wanted it. Why am I saying this? Sometimes people send their CVs in Word. Sometimes vacancies actually tell you to please send in PDF. There's a reason why they tell you that. Some will not tell you. But it's ideal to send in PDF because once you PDF a document, exactly how you have presented it is how I will get it. If you send it in Word, and I have a system that is outdated, and it doesn't have certain fonts that you use in that your document, by the time it comes to me, I might not even see the letters that you sent because you used a new one that my system doesn't have, right? I think you guys as tech people should even get that, right? So even if there is a special something that you guys do that you want to show me as part of your presentation, if you can PDF it or send it as a link, that is you making sure that when I want to read it, I'm reading it the way you wanted to present it. And of course, check for errors and get a second opinion. There's nothing wrong with asking a friend to look at something over for you. Nobody is perfect, right? Even this presentation I did, I had my husband look through it for me just to make sure that there were no errors, so I won't just come and fall my hand here, right? So getting a second opinion, I'm saying this because no one is above it. No one is perfect. So don't see it as, why do I want to share this with somebody else, right? Or I don't want someone else to know I'm looking for a job. See, even me, I still have CV. I have a job. Right? So make sure you get a second opinion so that someone sees through your blind spots. So we are finished talking about CVs. Yay! And then all the people that were remaining standing, I now told them, come to my office. Let us meet. You are now here at the office. You've made it to the office, so it does not guarantee you the job. Yeah? We know that, right? So now how do you now make sure that you're able to wow your audience? Right? You want to wow the interviewers, wow the panelists, convince them that you are the person for the job. First thing you want to do is research where you're going to, right? Because they've already reached out to you. Either they called you for a screening call, or they sent you a video link, or sent you an assessment. You see something about the organization. You want to do your research so that when they're asking you questions, you can relate it to that job, to the organization. And then you want to practice common questions. Practice your why. It is your why, not my why. I was interviewing a candidate, a software engineer, and I asked him, why should we hire you? Out of all the people we're talking to, why you? And then he starts telling me some things that we wrote on our website. And it was clear because the way he was reading it, I was like, this thing sounds so familiar, and it doesn't sound like a human being would just be talking about how, because you people are empathetic, and then you people like to do this. That's not your why. You think that's what I want to hear because that's our why, and you're quoting me. But no, we want unique people. We don't want machines, right? So practice your why. Practice common questions. What are your interests? Strengths, weaknesses. Nobody's perfect again, so everybody has a weakness. But of course, there's a way you can answer that question when they ask you, what are you not good at? You know what you're not good at. You say what you're not good at, but then you now find a way of turning it around to say, hey, but these are the things I'm doing to fix the problem. Because I don't want it to stay a problem. Sometimes people will say, oh, one of my weaknesses is I'm a perfectionist. I think that's the most popular weakness that I've heard when I interview people, because they were pretty much just trying to let me know that they get the job done right. But it also means that you take time. You can be on that one thing for the longest time. So after saying you're a perfectionist, so what do you do to make sure that you don't spend 8 hours of your day doing one job and you have 4 tasks on your table? Right? So you don't just end with this is my weakness, but this is what I am doing. I am breaking down slots in my calendar so that I can work on each task at so period. Practice, and then logistics. Know where you are going to. Right? There's something I learned when I was much younger. To be early is to be on time. To be on time is to be late. So if something starts at 9 and you get there at 9, you are late. If the interview says 9, it means that we want to start talking to you at 9. I know this is Nigeria, and sometimes you will get there and you wait 2 hours. So they are late. In that situation, they happen to have the upper hand. And there's 2 things you can do. You can decide that this is not an organization I want to work with because you guys have no respect for people's time. And that's not what you want to be associated with. Or you can be like, you know what? While this is not ideal for me, I will do this for the short term till I get the better opportunity. But I will acquire all of the skills that I can do and experience from here so that my next interview I can say these are the challenges I faced and look at how I turned out. Okay? Answering interview questions. So, you're sitting in front of me and I start asking you questions. The questions can take different formats. One can be behavioral. I want to know about you, right? I want to know how you would handle a situation. Based on what you have written in your resume, I did this. How did you do it? Tell me what you needed to do this. Tell me the setbacks you probably experienced. These are things personal to you. So it really should be easy to answer, except you are lying. Try not to lie in an interview, but if you're a good liar, all the best. There's also hypotheticals. So now you don't have experience, so really it's not something you've done before. But let's say I hired you and you were faced with this situation. How would you handle it? This is where critical thinking comes in. Instead of I don't know, I will give up, I will freeze, I will faint, you want to have something to say. Right? Critical thinking, think on the spot. Okay, while this has not happened to me before, how I'll handle it is, of course, because I'm new to this field, I will seek a second opinion. We will see how we'll do it together. And it's okay to say you will work with someone to do it. You've not done it before, and you are not Superman or woman. So it's okay to say, okay, I will go to my team, and then we'll see how we can brainstorm. And it's okay to say it. You are being realistic. It might not be the answer they want to hear, and it might be the answer they want to hear. If you have done your research and the organization says that they thrive on teamwork and collaboration, you throw it back at them. I will work with the team to solve the problem. Yeah? And then, of course, strengths and weaknesses, which I already mentioned. You need to know what you're good at, leverage on that, sell it, and then what you're not good at, you just talk about it gently and then say what you're doing to fix that. And of course, you want to leave a lasting impression. So now you're done, the interview is great, they thank you so much. We'll get back to you. You want to be able to connect with them. So even during the interview, you want to connect. Maintain eye contact. It's not easy to stare at someone. It's not. But every now and then, if you can look up at them, look at the table, look at the next person, scroll through the room, you want to be able to connect with your audience. This is not connecting outside, but you can do that one to outside. You want to smile. You want to, sorry, could you go back? You want to ask questions. Sometimes at the end of the interview, do you have any questions? Your answer is no. You cannot not have questions. You don't know these people. You literally don't know them. You've not worked here before. No matter what someone tells you about them, it's still not the same. So you want to ask questions. What is the culture like? What do you guys do on so and so? Do you guys work on weekends? What do you guys do about learning and development opportunities? You want to ask questions. Not how much you want to pay for this role. Not that. We don't want to hear that one. We know you want to know, but that's not the time to ask the question. And of course, you want to thank the interviewers for their time. Thank you so much for seeing me. And it's okay at that point, because I get this question sometimes. After maybe, they've gotten delay in getting feedback. Sometimes people reach out to me, I had an interview last week, last month. When do you think I should follow up? After the interview, after you thank them, it's okay to ask, when can I be expecting feedback, please? right? So you find a nice way of asking, thank you so much for your time, but I was wondering when I could probably expect some feedback. If they tell you typically we give feedback in a week or two, and you don't hear in a week or two, you know what it means. You don't have to keep dwelling on the fact that you've not heard from them, and you will hear from them. And on the final note, don't underestimate the competition. This is your competition. They are your friends today. You are learning. You are sitting next to them. But they are the same people that are trying to get that same job that you're looking for. Have a positive mindset. While this is the competition, still have a positive mindset. Maybe that job the two of you went for is not for you. There's another one. Maybe you're even supposed to build something yourself. So have a positive mindset. There's nothing you cannot do. There is absolutely nothing. When I started, side note, sorry, and I'll try not to take too much time. So last year I decided I wanted to start learning how to ride a bike. When I started, moving is the easy part. Then we got to a bump. And my instructor is like, go over the bump. And I told myself, I said, this is where I'm going to quit. I have to go over a bump. And he's telling me you have to slow a bit. When you go over, you now apply the throttle and then you go over. I was sure I was going to quit. And today I can comfortably ride a bike. Not a bicycle, a power bike. Positive mindset. Positive mindset is something I didn't think I can do. And some of you are looking at me like, it's a lie, she cannot do it. So literally think the impossible can be done. And don't stop learning. Thank you. Any questions? I can't take questions.
Just
Thank you, everyone.
thank you very much. Sorry, we are